Hearing close in the forest you'll find a fabulous banquet, a fairy wall. If you close your eyes and you open your mind, the veil disappears and you'll see it all.
Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and for today's video I am finally going to be diving into the highly requested truth about Dybbuk boxes. I feel very passionately and very strongly about making this video for a number of reasons. The very first reason being that I have yet in my personal researching to see a video on YouTube that is strictly informative about the dangers of opening a Dybbuk box and the true story behind them, basically how they came to be, what exactly they are, and why you should never open them. In fact, when I did my research on these boxes, I saw a lot of people opening them on the internet, which we'll get into in a moment. Well, we'll get into in a little bit, but I felt it was kind of my duty to come on here and break down what exactly it is. The very first Dybbuk box that came forward and kick-started this paranormal craze surrounding them, and then get into why you should never buy, touch, or open one of these. Before I get into today's video though, I very quickly want to announce the 500K giveaway winners. I was supposed to announce these on Thursday, however, it was so difficult for me to go through all of your comments, all of your tweets and Instagrams and comments on both of my channels and just everything, and I really wanted to take my time at reading through all of them because this in general was a very, very difficult decision. The 5 winners are on the screen right now. Congratulations to all of you who won. I am so sorry that I couldn't do this for more of you. However, make sure you're subscribed to both my channels and following me on Instagram and Twitter, because I've kind of made the decision that I'm gonna do giveaways like this much more often that will be announced on places like that. But congratulations to those of you who have won. I'll be reaching out to you within the next day and figuring out your shipping information and putting together your boxes. I'm really excited to create custom things for you guys, and I love you all so much. To those of you who entered and did not win the contest, it is absolutely nothing against you. This was one of the hardest decisions ever. It's like I literally was choosing between all of my family members, but I'll be doing many things in the future for all of you, and I just want to say thank you so much for your love and support. All right, so let's get into Dybbuk boxes. Now, I've done a lot of research into these, and each and every person has a different accent on how to pronounce a Dybbuk box. I personally pronounce it exactly how I just did. Some people call it Dybbuk, some people call it Dybbuk. However, I'm just gonna go with Dybbuk boxes. Regardless, it is spelled like this, and it comes from a Hebrew word meaning cling. In the Hebrew tradition, a Dybbuk is a malicious spirit that is bound on the earth to either a specific person or a specific object, or was summoned by a specific person or a specific object. Now, typically, these are evil spirits, or what some refer to as demons, that can and do have the ability to possess and cause harm to the living. Now, when you look at different Dybbuk boxes, some of them are sealed with a wax, while others actually just have engravements of Hebrew writing and a ton of different symbols on top of them. So they vary from one to another. Some of them, and one of them in particular, is just a wine cabinet, but there are some that people have enclosed by securing it with hot wax, and some people have enclosed it by just engraving particular symbols and particular Hebrew writing onto it. Now, like I said, when I did my research into Dybbuk boxes, I was mortified by the amount of videos done where people actually open up these boxes. Now, like I said, traditionally, these boxes are said to inhabit a Dybbuk, a evil, malicious spirit, or a demon. So when I see videos of people opening these things up, it's no shade, no tea towards them, but it gives me a lot of anxiety because I'm about to break down the consequences of opening up such a box and how these boxes really came to be. Now, one thing that I do want to say very briefly is that when you're looking at Dybbuk boxes, there are a ton of frauds out there. Ever since the whole craze of people purchasing such boxes came to light, people tried to capitalize off of the, what would the word be? It wouldn't be naive nature, it would be, I don't know, the paranormal craze. They tried to capitalize off of the paranormal craze and in turn made their own fake little boxes and posted them on eBay. So there is a large majority of Dybbuk boxes that are traveling all across the world that are actually fraudulent. However, I will say that there are real Dybbuk boxes circulating, and the gamble of which you would get is one that I would never want to mess with. So let's get into all of this shenanigans. So in 2012, the movie The Possession surfaced, and that movie was actually based off of the possession and the stories surrounding Dybbuk boxes, but also one in particular. Now, the most commonly shared and widely known story revolving around Dybbuk boxes actually comes from a small wine cabinet that was brought to America by a Polish Holocaust survivor named Hailey. Now, Hailey got this box before her immigration to America and kept the box hidden safely in her sewing cabinet for the rest of her entire life. Now, in September of 2001, just after Hailey died at the age of 103, her family held what we call here in Canada a garage sale of all of her items that they were trying to sell and get rid of. Now, a man by the name of Kevin Manis, who actually had a business in restoring and selling antique items, found himself in September of 2001 at this particular garage sale and found himself attracted to this wine cabinet box. He had taken an interest in this wine cabinet box amongst other items and went ahead and purchased them. Now, before leaving, he got to talking with Hailey's granddaughter, who in turn told him the history of this particular box. You know, she went ahead and said that her grandmother had kept it hidden and safe for her entire life, and that they were always cautioned to never open it because it contained a Dybbuk spirit. Now, after hearing all of this, he offered to return the box to them because he felt as though this was a special family heirloom and he wanted them to keep it if it was something that meant a lot to them. Well, right away, her whole demeanor changed and she started getting not aggressive, but almost angry towards him, insisting that no, he had made the purchase, it was now his. He said, you know what, you can keep the money for it. If this is something that's special to you, she did have it ever since she was a young woman, then you could keep it. And it was at that point that her entire demeanor changed. And she yelled something along the lines of, you made the purchase, you made the deal, it's yours now leave type of thing. And he remembered thinking that this was a really strange interaction, but he thought it was because of the stress of the death of her grandmother and everything else that had been going on. So he just took his Dybbuk box and left. Now, Kevin made a very detrimental mistake. The granddaughter had warned him that there was a Dybbuk spirit inside of it, but he was skeptical on the entire situation. So he went ahead and opened it, even though the granddaughter had cautioned that she would not do such a thing. Inside of the box, he found two 1920s pennies, a lock of blonde hair bound by a cord, and a lock of darker hair also bound by a cord. A small statue engraved with this word right here, a small golden wine goblet, a dried rosebud, and a four-legged candle holder. So while looking through these items that were within this wine box, he couldn't help but notice that they were very strange items. However, he still didn't think that there was any sort of like malicious spirit attached to it or anything to do with that, and kind of just left the box. So he brought the box to his workshop in Portland, Oregon, and he decided to leave the box there. Approximately a half an hour later, he got a call from his saleswoman who had been there, claiming that somebody had broken into his workshop, was smashing things and cursing, and it just sounded like a whole ruckus. But on top of that, that they had locked her inside, if that makes sense. When he arrived, it was true, all of the doors were locked and she was in fact trapped inside. However, there was no sign of burglary or entry. There were a bunch of broken light bulbs and a smell of cat pee everywhere, but there was no sign that any sort of animal had been in there. There was no sign that any sort of human had been in there, and his salesperson was so terrified by the whole entire experience that she quit after working for him loyally for 2 years. Now here's where it gets totally wild, you guys. While in possession of the Dybbuk box, Kevin would have nightmares that had to do with his close friends. In each and every nightmare, he would be walking along or spending time with one of his close friends or family members when they would turn into a demonic beast and beat him. Realizing that there may be some sort of a strange connection to these nightmares and the Dybbuk box, on October 28th, he went ahead and gifted the box to his mother. On that same day, his mother suffered a stroke. And after the stroke, you guys, she scribbled on a piece of paper, "Hate gift," and refused to keep it any longer. So take that in. He gifted the box to his mother as a birthday gift, and on that exact day, she suffered a stroke. After the stroke, she wrote on a piece of paper, "Hate gift." He then gifted it to his sister, who returned it after saying that the doors of this creepy box would not stay closed. They kept eerily reopening. So she went ahead and returned it back to him. After that, his brother went ahead and took it, and he returned it after claiming that, well, he smelt jasmine coming from the box. All that his wife could smell was cat urine. So he too returned it. But if you take that into consideration, what I feel is coming from that is the fact that perhaps this box was choosing the brother and was trying to lure him in with a nice scent, while his wife was not chosen by the box and was smelling cat urine. That part really freaked me out, especially because these types of spirits do form some sort of attachments to people. They are said to be able to possess people. So the fact that he was smelling a nice scent like jasmine while his wife was smelling cat urine is really creepy to me. So once Kevin gets it back, his girlfriend says that she does not want him to keep it. She's really freaked out because every single person that has had it has returned it. So she went ahead and told him he had to get rid of it. He went ahead and gifted the box to a middle-aged couple. However, a few days later, he finds the box back on his doorstep with a note that says, "This has bad darkness." They wouldn't have even known, you guys. He gifted it as a nice gift. So as you can see, there is a horrifying consistency with this particular box, and that is when he decides he can no longer keep the box. He can't keep gifting it to people because they keep on returning it. Things are getting scarier. Things are getting darker in his home. His dreams are getting darker. So he turns to eBay. And that is when this first surfaced. This is one of the first ever known Dybbuk boxes. However, since then a ton have surfaced, but he went ahead and tried to sell this box on eBay, claiming that he really needed to get rid of it. I printed out a small quote from the particular eBay article. His was very, very long. He went into great detail. He even went ahead to say that he was going to include hospital records and just prove alongside with his statements that this is real. So he went ahead and said as well, "I would destroy this thing in a second, except I don't really have any understanding of what I may or may not be dealing with. I'm afraid if I destroy the cabinet, whatever it is that seems to have come with the cabinet may stay here with me. I've been told that there are people who shop on eBay that understand these kinds of things and specifically look for these kinds of items. If you're one of these people, please, please, please buy this cabinet and do whatever you do with a thing like this. Help me." So the box was actually sold, and it was passed along through a couple of different owners for various different reasons, all revolving around evil surrounding this box, until it eventually found itself in the hands of Jason Haxton, the director of the Museum of Osteopathic Medicine. Now, after a short time with this box, Jason actually began experiencing very, very strange and unusual health problems, including hives, coughing up blood, bleeding from the eyes, and head to toe welts on his body. So he decided to take this box and actually leave it in a storage unit. Well, one night the smoke alarm within this storage unit went off. When he went to go check it out, there was no sign of a fire, no sign of smoke, and the box was still just there. So he went ahead and decided that he was gonna bring this Dybbuk box back home, and he was going to really investigate and get to the bottom as to what could be going on with this box. In his desire to investigate, he went ahead and recalled Kevin Mannis, the original purchaser from the garage sale, to figure out the details of how exactly the box wound up in his hands and if he knew anything that could lead to an explanation as to the history of this box. After a very long discussion with the initial granddaughter that he had spoken with, the granddaughter finally gave the name of a woman named Sophie, who was Hailey's cousin, and claims that they too were the ones who had trapped the Dybbuk inside of this wine cabinet. Sophie went ahead and shared that between the two world wars, seances were very, very popular. Apparently, she and Hailey had made a spirit board or a Ouija board and began contacting a ton of unearthly things. Now, to her knowledge, what she believes happened was that negative energy from the impending war was bringing a ton of evil spirits around, and they one day contacted something that they believe was malicious and demonic. On November 10th, 1938, she and Hailey went ahead and tried to bind this spirit to the wine cabinet. However, they failed. After the war, they tried to bind it again and were this time successful, trapping it inside this wine cabinet, and that is where it had remained. Throughout this entire time that she was communicating with them, she kept on apologizing and apologizing, claiming that she believes the demon that they summoned may have had something to do with the cause of World War II. So Jason went ahead and spoke with various individuals as to how to rebind this Dybbuk spirit into this wine cabinet box. He secured it in an ark constructed of acacia, wood, and gold, replicating the Ark of the Covenant, which actually contained the original 10 commandments. He then went ahead and buried this Dybbuk box in an unknown location that he has not disclosed to this day. Now, after this whole entire story and paranormal phenomena emerged, many people found other Dybbuk boxes that were in fact authentic, and it became a real paranormal topic and a real paranormal craze. Everybody wanted to know more about these Dybbuk boxes, especially after the movie The Possession surfaced and people really further understood what they were, and that's sort of when the whole eBay craze of selling these particular boxes emerged. Now, the unfortunate thing is, while there are a ton of frauds amongst the real Dybbuk boxes still do exist, and there are demons and malicious spirits bound to them. Opening up such a box unleashes that malicious spirit and will ruin your life forever. These are not a toy. It is not a joking matter. When somebody binds an evil entity or a demonic presence to a box and contains it, the last thing you want to do is open that up. Look at Annabelle. Look at the way that Ed and Lorraine Warren had Annabelle secured in their museum. It is a terrifying thought to think about what would happen to the individual who went ahead and opened up the box that has been blessed and secured Annabelle inside of it. A Dybbuk box is essentially the same concept and idea. Somebody has bound a malicious and evil spirit within a box, and the minute that you open it, you have no idea what you're unleashing. And while many people may have opened fraudulent and fake Dybbuk boxes, I would hate for somebody to think that they're getting something that isn't real and actually open up the home of a demon. I also just want to go ahead and say that I'm not shading anybody who has opened up a Dybbuk box. I mean, to each their own. Each and every person is entitled to live their own life and do everything that they want to do. I'm not throwing shade. However, once you comprehend the backstory and the things that people have endured when actually opening up a box like this, it might make you rethink. And all I really wanted to do with this video was to bring a informative side to these particular boxes and share the truth about them, so that while you're watching a video where somebody may or may not be opening one, you can bear in mind that that is not something that you yourself would want to do. You guys highly requested this video, so I really hope that you enjoyed it. I will say, while I was doing my research and typing up my notes, I had a weird chill feeling throughout my body, an uneasy feeling in my stomach. I don't feel like I attracted anything evil, but I will say I feel these things are real, because upon looking at pictures and just doing my research, it chilled me to my core. And not everything always does that to me, so I'm gonna take that for what it is and never, ever, ever go near a Dybbuk box. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed, but you do enjoy my videos, please go ahead and join the Reese's Pieces. We would love to have you. And if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a big thumbs up. It makes my heart super, super, super happy when you guys do that. So please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.